it's Jennifer here. Welcome to my Sunday meal prep video. I am glad that you joined me. For today's meal prep, we are going to do taco soup with corn muffins, which I know that I have filmed taco soup before and most people have made it, but that is Charlie's request this week. He was not a huge fan of that vegetarian soup that we made a couple of weeks ago, even though I did go back later in the week, like I said, and added in some ground turkey to give it some more protein. The taco soup, honestly, you can't beat it. It is delicious, and it is just one of those great filling meals that's nice to come home to in the evenings, especially when it is cold as it has been here. So anyway, we are doing taco soup, which I'm fixing to throw that together first before we get into anything else because it will need to cook all day in the crock pot. And then for our second meal, we are going to bake some sweet potatoes in the Ninja Foodi. I'm going to see how those cook and how quickly it cooks them. I'm making 8 potatoes. 6 of them will be for me and Charlie, and then 2 of them will be Jaylee and Terry. Just each wanted one to try. I don't know what they're planning on doing with their sweet potatoes. So we have 8 total that we are going to put in the Ninja Foodi. We'll probably have to do those in 2 batches. I would probably think that only 4 each would fit in there. And then along with the sweet potatoes, our protein source is just going to be diced chicken. I'm not 100% sure yet what I'm going to season it with or how I'm going to do it. I'll just kind of figure it out once I get to it. I might just season it with a bunch of spices and stuff and saute it in a skillet. We have some barbecue sauce that I could use in it, or I did see on Tiffany Beeston's channel, Beauty and the Beestons, she made some chicken and she just kind of made like a little sauce of soy sauce with honey, you know, and then salt and pepper and garlic salt and stuff like that, and just kind of let it marinate in it and then cook that in the skillet, and that looked really good. Kind of depends on the points on the honey. I think for like 1 tablespoon of honey, it's 4 smart points. So I'm not really sure how much honey I would use. So I don't know if I'm going to do that. You know, I don't want to really add a lot of points to chicken because I'm having the sweet potatoes. And the sweet potatoes, depending on the weight, are probably going to be around 6 points or so. So anyway, I mean, if I can work out a recipe to where that's only like a point or 2 for the chicken, then I'll do that. And again, we'll just see what happens once I get there. I'll figure it out as the day goes on. And for the vegetable side, we are just going to do the roasted California blend vegetables in the oven with that Montreal steak seasoning. You can't beat it, especially if you like your food spicy. We put a generous portion of that seasoning on there and roast it in the oven. And I'm just going to cook a whole bag of that and make a bowl for Jaylee and Terry as well because they love that also. Then I will make some of my chocolate protein cookies, and I will prep my breakfast for the week because now that I've started prepping my breakfast for the week, it just makes my morning so much easier. Still running behind, but my workouts have increased so much that I have to try to save time where I can. So anyway, I think that's all that's on the menu for the day. So let's get into this meal prep. And also, if you are new here and you haven't already, click that red subscribe button down below and that notification bell so that you are notified each and every time that I upload. I typically upload 3 days a week. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays are my schedule right now. And I usually do meal prep videos, grocery hauls, what I eat in a day's, weigh-in update videos, things like that, and then sometimes just some random ones. I've had a couple of requests to do like a skincare routine, so I'm thinking about doing that here in the next week or 2. So, you know, just some lifestyle stuff as well. I don't want my channel to just be honed in on just Weight Watchers food or whatever. I just want to share a little bit of everything, share my life with y'all. I love y'all. I'm glad that you are here, and let's get into the video. Alright, here are the ingredients for the taco soup. I like to use 2 or 3 chicken breasts. I think I have 3 chicken breasts here. They're pretty big. That will be a lot of chicken once you shred it up, and it will absorb quite a bit of the moisture. I like to use 2 packets of taco seasoning. I use 1 packet of original and 1 packet of hot and spicy. Using both of these does make this from a 0-point recipe to 1 point per serving if you make this into 6 servings, which I will. I'm going to use 3 cans of Rotel. I've got 2 cans of original, 1 can of fire roasted. I'm going to use 2 cans of chicken broth, 2 cans of drained and rinsed black beans, some frozen corn, which we did buy one at the grocery store. You'll see in my grocery haul video before this, but I was digging through the freezer and found this one, and it probably needs to be used up. I don't know how long it's been in there. It's been half used, so we are just going to use that for our corn today. And then, of course, some spray, just a spray in my crock pot. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of cumin and chili powder as well, just to spice it up a bit. So I'm going to just spray the inside of my crock pot and put my chicken breast in. And then I'm gonna wash my hands real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so I got the chicken breast in, and then I'm just gonna do salt and pepper. And I need to get all my cans open, so I will be right back. Let me open those. Okay guys, I'm back. I had to get all of my cans open and my battery died as well, so got all of that swapped out. So all I've done is put my chicken in, salt and pepper it. I'm just gonna go ahead and start dumping in everything else. I have drained and rinsed my 2 cans of black beans. I'm gonna get those in there because they're just on this paper towel getting wet. And then I have 2 cans of chicken broth. I'm gonna just put all of this corn in there, I think. It seems kind of like a big bag. I really don't know how old this is, but I'm sure it needs to be used up. It's a little frozen. Got some ice pieces on it, but it should be all right once it cooks all day. And then I have 3 cans of Rotel. I have 2 cans of original. There's 1, 2, and then the 1 fire roasted. And then I'm just gonna add some ground cumin, just to your liking. I kind of like things a little spicy, so we're just gonna kind of do a generous portion of that. And some chili powder. Now after this cooks, then I will take the chicken breast out and shred it and put it back in and let it cook for a little while longer. At that point, I might need to add a little bit more liquid. We will see, because the chicken will absorb a lot of the moisture, and 3 pieces is quite a bit of shredded chicken. So I'm just going to stir that up and get it in the crock pot, and I'm going to cook it on high because it's already about lunchtime. So if it cooks on high for a good 6-7 hours, it'll be ready for us by the time that we eat dinner tonight. And that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. And this again comes out to 1 point, the way that I do it with the 2 packets of the taco seasoning. I'm sure if you only used 1, then it would probably be 0 points, but we just like to add a lot of seasoning to everything, as you know. So I'm going to put this on my crock pot on high for, I'm just going to set it for 8 hours so that it'll just cook all day. My crock pot's over there, and we'll check on it in a little bit. I started to clean up and I realized that I didn't add my 2 packets of taco seasoning. How disappointing would that have been? Now it's ready to go in the crock pot. Okay guys, so we are going to make these sweet potatoes. We have the 8 sweet potatoes washed and ready to go. We're going to do them in 2 batches in the Ninja Foodi. I assumed that we would have to use the pressure cooker setting or whatever, but we have the little booklet that goes along with it, and to cook the whole sweet potatoes you can actually use the air crisp function, which I never would have thought of that. So you can put 4 in at a time, so we'll have to do 2 batches. You just basically pierce it with a fork 3 times, put it in at 390 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and put the first batch in and just follow the instructions from the Ninja Foodi, and hopefully 4 will fit in here. I guess it doesn't matter if 1 is kind of on top. We might check it halfway through and move them around a little bit just to see how they're doing. But I'm just going to put them in there just like that. Close the lid. Let me tilt you down so you can see. We're going to just do, oh, I guess it'd help if it was plugged up. So we're going to do air crisp, and it's already at 390. And it said 35 to 40 minutes, so I'm going to just go ahead and do 40 minutes. And then we'll check it in a little bit and come back and see how they are doing. And in the meantime, I'm going to do my fruit, get my veggies ready to go in the oven, and figure out what I'm going to do with the chicken, because I still haven't decided. So it's just going to be one of those last minute things today. We will see. Okay guys, I am ready to put my fruit together. I've already washed my blueberries. Of course, I just did those in the salad spinner. and soaked them in the vinegar and water like I usually do. And then I have my cantaloupe and pineapple chopped, and we're gonna make 7 containers of the fruit for the week. Y'all know these are my favorite fruits. I have them every week. It is getting very difficult to find good fruit. Kroger left out my cantaloupe on my grocery order. I don't know if maybe I didn't add it to the cart. I'm not sure which one happened. But regardless, we were at Target last night and we picked one up, and it looked a little sketchy, which is this one, which is actually good, I think. And we also picked up a little watermelon that they had there just in case, because the watermelon looked good. The watermelon was rotten. We had to throw it away. It was $5. So I'm calling Target later and telling them that we bought that watermelon and cut into it like it was rancid. My husband tasted a little bite of it and he can't hardly get that taste out of his mouth because that's how gross it was. But anyway, the ugly little cantaloupe is actually pretty on the inside, so you can't judge a book by its cover, I guess. But I'm going to get these thrown together and then get my veggies ready to put in the oven.
This town's so lame, I'm feeling so wired. It's 4 a.m., I'm not even tired. We're in your car, we can drive away. Oh yeah, we're almost there. I'm loving this feeling of something new. Just right what I needed. Take me there, we can drive away. Oh yeah. Listen to the midnight radio. Listen to the midnight radio. We can drive through the night, sing along to the midnight radio. Don't wanna wait all my life, can't remain, no delay, gotta let go. A gentle breeze, the night's got a fever, to the moon and back.
Okay guys, here is the finished fruit and yogurt bowls, and also the diced peppers. Charlie had already diced those up, so I just put them in the container, which it worked out perfectly this week. I used the last of my diced peppers for my lunch today for my pizza. So I do go through this whole bowl of peppers in a week, which I know seems like a lot, but between having it in my breakfast and eating the pizza 2 or 3 times a week, I need them. So I love them. I do not let them go to waste. And anyway, I also have a ton of bananas over here. I don't know if you can see that, but we did pick some more up in the middle of the week, and so I still have 2 of those left, which I'll probably have 1 for snack. No, I guess I have 3. I'm not sure if that's an old one or a new one. I think that's a new one. I got 7 more yesterday whenever I did my grocery order, but Athena, she sometimes will eat the bananas too, and so we ran out in the middle of the week. Now I'm probably going to end up having to maybe put one of these in the freezer. I don't know, but that's what I do. I don't throw them away. I save them, and then I'll make like a pancake bake or something. Maybe I'll do that next week and make a pancake bake for my dessert instead of, I know a lot of people make them for breakfast, but I love those for dessert, to be honest. But anyway, I've got all my bananas for the week as well, all my fruit for my lunches, and my peppers. All good to go. Alright, I am getting ready to make our vegetables. It's going to go along with our chicken and sweet potatoes this week. I'm just going to use this whole bag of this California blend bird's eye vegetables and season it with the Montreal steak seasoning that I use every time. This is really good. It does make it really spicy. If you don't like it spicy, then you might just want to salt and pepper and, you know, use garlic powder, onion powder, whatever seasonings that you like. I'm not exactly sure what all is in this, but it does have a bold flavor. It's delicious, and it's delicious on these vegetables. I'm going to let them cook in the oven for probably 45 minutes or so, maybe an hour, depending. I like them to almost be charred. So I just line this pan with aluminum foil. I'm just going to spray it, and we are going to put the whole bag on there. which this is a lot of vegetables if you use the whole bag. If it was just Charlie and I that I was cooking for, then I would only use half the bag. But I am making some for Jaylee and Terry as well because they like these. I will just put them in a bowl. I'm not sure what that is. I can pull that piece out. I will just put theirs in a bowl and then they can eat on it throughout the week. Okay, there it is. Of course, you know, I heavily season everything and we really like the bold flavor that this has. So it's going in the oven. I've got it at 375 degrees. Just gonna put it on 45 minutes. Normally I will cook this like when I make the Mexican meatloaf and roasted sweet potatoes all together in the oven for about an hour, but I'm thinking since this is the only thing in there, 45 minutes might be good. We'll see. The first batch of sweet potatoes just stopped, so I'm going to check these and take them out and put the next batch in. I wonder if they are soft on the inside. It's really hard to tell. They seem soft. They're really hot. This one has like some little charred pieces that kind of squished out through the holes, I guess, that we poked in it. But they seem okay. We'll see how they taste. So I'm just going to take those 4 out and put the next 4 in, and I'm going to do the same thing for 40 minutes. This machine really is very simple to use so far. There we go, 40 minutes again. So now I'm going to start on the chicken. Okay guys, I have finally decided to go ahead and do the honey soy sauce chicken, and I've put in my recipe builder what I'm going to use, and I don't know if it'll be enough sauce or whatever on the chicken or not. We'll just see. So I'm going to do 8 tablespoons of the light soy sauce that I have here, which that's 5 points, and then I'm going to do 3 tablespoons of honey, which is 11 points whenever I scan this one in. So that's going to make the chicken to be 3 points per serving. I just have a couple of pounds of chicken there diced up. Of course, that is 0. And then we're going to do salt and pepper. I'm going to do maybe just a little bit of ginger just to give it that little bit of flavor. Of course, I'm going to do some chili powder, some ground cumin, and some garlic powder. So I'm just going to get this seasoned up and get it in the skillet and see what we end up with. I better hit create on that recipe before it doesn't save it. But using that particular soy sauce and stuff, and I'm going to weigh this out instead of actually measuring the honey, because 1 tablespoon is 21 grams, so I'm going to use 3 tablespoons, so I need what, 63 grams. And then I'm going to use 8 tablespoons of this, which is 15 milliliters. So I'll have to see on my phone how much 8 times 15 is. So I'll do 120 milliliters of the soy sauce and just measure it on the scale. But before I put the liquids in, I'm going to salt and pepper and do all my other seasonings. I'm going to tilt you down. So we're going to go in with some pepper and some salt. I'm just going to do a little bit of the ginger because it has a pretty strong flavor. Actually, this one hasn't been opened yet. I'm going to do a little sprinkle of the ginger. And then same thing with the chili powder and stuff. I'm just going to do a little bit, because I really don't know what this is all going to taste like together, but honestly, if I put chili powder and cumin and everything and salt and pepper, it seems to be good. A little cumin in there and a little garlic powder. I'm just going to kind of stir that up. I'm going to grab my scale. So I need 120 milliliters. So I'm going to change this to milliliters of soy sauce, which actually, I'm just going to unscrew the top. I hope I'll have 120 milliliters in here. This is getting low. There, that's 119. Perfect. That really leaves just a tiny little dab. I should probably go ahead and use it, but I won't because I've already measured that out. And then I'm going to switch to grams and tear that out, and we're going to do 63 grams of honey. There we go, 62. Good enough. And I'm gonna let this just set for a little bit before I put it in the skillet and marinate, but look at that. I mean, it already smells heavenly. I think it's gonna be delicious. Of course, I'll just spray my skillet with the olive oil spray as usual, and we're just gonna fry it up, and then that's gonna be it. I don't know if I will eat this with any sauce or not. We'll just see what it tastes like on the night that we eat it. We probably will have the taco soup tonight because we usually like to go ahead and eat that the day that I make it. Just because, you know, the corn muffins that I make with it and everything, it's all fresh, and the soup just smells so delicious by the end of the day. It's just nice and comforting. So I'm going to let that marinate for a few minutes, clean up, and then we'll get started cooking this chicken. Alright guys, I'm back. We are going to start the chicken. I'm just going to spray my skillet. I do have it on. I think this is going to be delicious and totally worth the 3 points. You could probably add some minced garlic in there if you wanted to as well. I didn't think about that until just now. But I probably won't. I added the garlic powder. Okay, I'm going to let that start cooking, and then we will be back to check on it. Okay guys, this chicken is cooking right along. I think it's actually going to be hard for me to tell when it's done. You know, I like things really well done because of the color of the sauce that's on it, but we'll see. I'll cook it a little extra long if I need to. Okay guys, so I am moving right along today. The chicken is still cooking back there. You can see it on the stove. I'm just kind of letting it slowly cook. I just want to make sure that it's cooked good through, since I can't really see the color with that glaze on there. But I'm going to go ahead and put together my corn muffins so that they'll be ready to go in the oven once the roasted vegetables are done. And for that, I'm going to use, open this. So if y'all don't know, I store all of my like flour and cornmeal and stuff like that in the freezer because it will keep forever and you never have to worry about bugs or anything getting in it. So I just put it in like a big Ziploc bag and just store it like this, and it's always perfect. But I'm going to use 1.5 cups of this yellow cornmeal mix, the hot rise, and then I'm basically going to use 1.5 cans of this cream style corn, about 21 ounces, 21 3/4 ounces I think to be exact, and then these will make 12 muffins at 3 points each. So that way Charlie and I will have 2 muffins each night whenever we have the taco soup. So I'm going to tilt you down and we're going to throw these together real quick. It won't take but just a minute. Oh, and I forgot, you need egg whites. 2 egg whites, I think. I forgot to get this out. Glad I remembered. Let me look at my recipe. Yeah, so 2 tablespoons of egg whites and the cornmeal and the corn. That's it. Okay, so we're going to go in with 2 cups of cornmeal. Let me switch here so you can see. Not 2 cups, 1.5 cups of cornmeal. There's 1.5. So then I'm going to do about 21 ounces of the cream style corn. I am going to measure it. This does have points. So that's 13.9. There we go, 21.6, and I needed 21 3/4. And my veggies are going off. Hang on 1 second. Okay, and then we're going to go in with just 2 tablespoons of egg whites. 1 and 2. And then we're just going to mix it up and divide it into the muffin tin. And I just usually use an ice cream scooper for that. It just makes it easier. Or you can just pour it in if you want to, and if you want to measure it perfectly into each one you can, but I just eyeball it. And I'm going to spray my tin with the Baker's Joy spray. And then just divide it into the 12 muffins. And then this will cook at, I think 400 degrees for 15 minutes. Okay, they're ready to go in for 15 minutes at 400 degrees, and they should turn out perfect. I will show you what they look like when they come out of the oven. Okay, I am ready to put together my chocolate protein cookies like I do every week. These are the ingredients that you need. I use 1 scoop of the PE Science Select Protein Powder in the frosted chocolate cupcake flavor, and 1 scoop of the peanut butter cookie of the Centrex Matrix protein powder. You can get both of these on Amazon. Sometimes you can find them in the vitamin stores or nutrition factories if y'all have those in your hometown as well. I'm going to use about 5 to 7 grams of this Hershey's Special Dark Cocoa, 5 grams of the just sugar-free Jell-O chocolate fudge pudding mix, a heaping tablespoon of the baking powder, about 100 grams or so of the liquid egg whites. They are 0 points. I just kind of play with that until I get it to the consistency that I like. And then half a can of the 100% pure pumpkin, which is a little over 200 grams or so. I used half of this can last week, and so I'm going to use the rest today. And then once I get all of that mixed together, I will add in 14 grams, which is 1 serving of the Lily's no sugar added dark chocolate baking chips. And these are delicious. They are 1 point for 2 cookies, 2 points for 3 cookies, and it is the perfect nighttime satisfying treat for such low points. I highly suggest trying it. I don't know what it tastes like with other protein powders or not, but with these, I think that it is the perfect flavor, the perfect sweetness. I have baked a lot with the PE Science Select Protein before in the past, and it is a good baking protein powder. And the Centrex Matrix, I started using that brand back when I had weight loss surgery. A lot of people haven't heard of that brand, but I used to use it a lot in shakes and stuff, and those are really sweet flavors as well. But anyway, I'm going to put this together real quick because my corn muffins are almost done in the oven. That way these will be ready to go in, and then that will be done. And then we will be ready to plate up our chicken meal. And then I'm going to cook my breakfast. The taco soup is still cooking in the crock pot, so that will be later once we plate that up. All right, so we're going to go in with 1 scoop of the peanut butter protein. One scoop of the chocolate frosted cupcake protein powder, which this is kind of getting a little bit low. I'm going to have to order one. I can't run out. Grab my scale, and we're going to go in with our Hershey's Dark Cocoa, and then the sugar-free Jell-O mix, 5 grams of this, and then I like to do a big tablespoon of the baking powder. Then we're just going to mix the dry ingredients together until they are well blended. Then we're going to go ahead and go in with the pumpkin, which this should be a little over 200 grams. Okay, there we go, 211 grams, that's perfect. And then we are just going to do about 100 grams of egg whites and then see what the consistency is. That actually went up to 112, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so that's okay, but I'm going to put just another splash of egg whites in. I feel that they turn out just a little better if they're just a little smoother. Okay, I think that looks perfect. We are going to go ahead and add in our 14 grams of chocolate chips and then get these on a baking sheet. Now I'm just going to spray my pan. And we'll just scoop these out into 12 cookies.
I'm kinda new with apologies. Holding back, I got history. Yeah, yeah. But the way you've been crossing the line, oh, it's something in me that says it's fine. Hoping you wouldn't change.
Okay, there they are. Going to go in the oven for about 9 minutes. And that's at 350 degrees, and I do put those on the middle rack. You don't want to overcook these cookies. FYI, they'll be pretty soft once you get them out, but then they'll settle down and firm up. So 9 minutes, 10 minutes max. And here are the finished muffins, corn muffins. They look like they've turned out perfect. They're hot. I just pulled them out of the oven, but these are always delicious. They are great as a side to the taco soup. Okay guys, I'm ready to plate up the chicken, and the vegetables and the sweet potatoes are done. I'm just going to put the chicken and the vegetables in this container that has the 2 different sides. I'm just going to put the chicken in the small side and the vegetables in the larger side. And then the sweet potatoes, I'm just going to put those in one container. We'll kind of warm those up separately. The way I've always warmed up pre-baked sweet potatoes before is just to cook them in the microwave for 2 to 3 minutes, and then that seems to warm them through. But I'll show you what they look like. They're like nice and crispy on the outside. I've never cooked them in the Ninja Foodi or air fryer or anything, so I'm curious to see what the inside is like. But I probably won't know until tomorrow because I think we will eat the taco soup tonight. So anyway, the chicken, it is delicious. We've tried it, and so I think I would highly recommend doing the soy sauce and the honey as a glaze and marinade for your chicken, because it seems nice and tender. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it as I usually do everything. You know, I really am not that specific sometimes with my measurements because I really don't use my fit points. If I go over on my points a little bit, it's really not a big deal. But I looked at my fit points the other day, y'all, and I've earned, because I work out so much, like more points in a day, more points per day than what my 23 points is. I'll have to show you on my app how many fit points I earned last week. I'm sorry, I cannot eat twice as much food as what I should and still lose weight. I don't think that that is an accurate calculation. So it seems like it's doubling up and counting my steps and counting my walk and I don't know, everything. So I just kind of ignore those fit points. I do eat my weeklies on my Saturday night cheat meal, or I just act like I eat them all. Sometimes I probably do, sometimes I probably go over, but I just ignore the fit points. And so that's where sometimes if there's a little difference on the points or on the actual measurements, you know, it might be off a point or two or something, but to me it doesn't make that big of a difference overall. Again, if you want to be really specific, then you would weigh it out, divide it by 6, and portion it that way.
Got the same old thoughts, be my referee. I will be alright, never cut it bite, but somehow you make me change, like I'm better off with you.
So this will be for Charlie and me, and then I'm going to put the other vegetables in a container for Jaylee and Terry. I'm going to grab one. Okay guys, here is the finished honey soy sauce glazed chicken with the roasted vegetables. I have 6 portions for Charlie and me, and then here is the vegetables for Jaylee and Terry. And then here is how the sweet potatoes turned out of the air fryer. They've just been sitting over here cooling, but they seem really soft inside. And the outsides, it's almost like you could just peel the skin off of them, but I'm going to leave them like that and just put them in a container, and then we'll just warm those up separately on the night that we have this meal. But very excited to try this meal. So it's probably going to be about 6 points or so for the potato, depending on how much my potato weighs whenever I eat it, and then it's 3 points for the chicken and 0 points for the vegetables. And here are my cookies fresh out of the oven. I actually did not set the timer, and so I kind of forgot about them, and I turned around and looked to see how much time it had left, and I was like, oh crap. So anyway, I think that they're okay, but normally they're a little bit softer and more raised up, so we'll just see how these turn out. But anyway, I think they'll still be good. Guys, here is my bacon and eggs for the week. I have all 5 days worth of eggs done, and then I have 10 strips of bacon here. So I will have 2 each day, and I really prefer the eggs. Obviously they are better if you have them fresh, but it's not that bad just warming them up for a couple of minutes in the microwave in the mornings, and then I'm ready to get out the door. I try to go ahead and pack my lunch the night before, so that has really helped me, you know, try to stick with my plan and stay organized. But anyway, glad I got this done. The only thing that I have left to do for my meal prep is finish up the taco soup, shred the chicken and all that, and plate that up, and then we will be done for the day. Woohoo! So I am finally ready to check on the taco soup. It's been cooking on high for about 5 hours. I think that the chicken will be nice and tender enough for me to shred, and then I'm just going to put it back in there. We're not ready to eat yet. We probably won't eat for another hour or so, but I want to go ahead and get this part done, and then we will get it portioned out and have this for dinner tonight. So the way I shred my chicken is really just with 2 forks. I do not like to get out a hand mixer and do that. The chicken is usually so tender, it just falls apart. So, let me tilt you down here so you can see. See, the chicken, it is falling apart. It just, that one fell in half when I tried to get it out. So yeah, they look nice and tender. So you can just shred it easily like this. And my animals love it. They're all coming in here. They start to smell the chicken. I'll give them a little bite. But I literally just shred it like this and then just put it right back in there. And then we will portion it out into the 6 servings. And this is such good soup, y'all, for 1 point. And it's a pretty hearty serving. If you notice, I always go kind of heavy on my protein and stuff when it's 0 points especially. And that really bulks up my meals and the vegetables. Okay, so I'm just going to put this back in here and then put the lid back on and let it finish cooking until we get ready to plate it up. Okay, so we will be back whenever we plate this up. Okay guys, it looks like the taco soup is finally ready to be plated up. So I'm just going to put them in these containers. I would put them in my round bowls, but I actually prefer this because it has the little ends and then we can heat up our corn muffins and it holds it just perfectly. I'm just going to divide it out into 6 equal portions. Of course, I'm just going to eyeball it, and this is extremely hot. I usually have to get Charlie to come in here and pick up the crock pot to get like the last little bit out. So I'm going to have him do that and then I will show you all of it plated up. Okay guys, here is the finished taco soup all plated up. It is nice and hot. This is what we're going to have for dinner tonight. And then here are the corn muffins. I know I showed them earlier whenever I got them out of the oven, but this I just store them in the refrigerator like this, and then we will have 2 each with our taco soup. So this should end up being a 7-point meal because the corn muffins are 3 points each. I'm not 100% sure if when you eat 2 of them, it does that Weight Watchers math and rounds up to 7 or not. But 1 muffin is 3 points, 2 is either 6 or 7, and then 1 point for the soup. And that is a really generous portion. That's a lot. So anyway, that is going to probably wrap up everything. I think I finished it all today. Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you for joining me for my Sunday meal prep video. I hope that you got some good ideas. Please let me know down in the comments if you try any of these recipes or if you have any suggestions for me or any requests for recipes that you would like for me to try. I'm always looking for new ideas. And I hope that you enjoyed the video. If you are new here, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss any time that I upload. And I do appreciate every one of y'all, and I am happy with the way this channel is growing and really just can't wait to see what the future holds. So until then, I will see you in the next video. Thank you.